Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Unmasked. The autopsy for Gabby Petito was completed today, and I don't think it came as a surprise that her death was ruled a homicide. The FBI is now calling it a criminal investigation, and they will be heading it up, and Northport PD is assisting. Gabby is the 22-year-old that disappeared while on a cross-country trip with her fiancé, 23-year-old Brian Laundrie. As we know, Gabby's body was found on Sunday, September 19th, in a remote area of the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Wyoming. Today they performed the autopsy with assistance from a forensic pathologist from Sheridan, Wyoming. That's what we know on the autopsy for now. We will most likely get the full autopsy findings and toxicology report down the road as the investigation progresses. There's a lot of talk online with emotions running very high right now, and people are angry about different things that have gone on during the case. There are people angry about the August 12th domestic incident in Utah. There are people upset that Brian could just seemingly walk out of his house and go into hiding. People wondering why no one was put on his house to watch him and make sure that didn't happen. You know, all I can figure is either he did leave on the 14th and he went out his back door with some help, because we know there was media camped out there by the 14th, or possibly when the police came on the 11th and asked to talk to him. Remember, Brian's parents said, no, you can't, and handed them the lawyer's card. Is it possible he just bounced then and left on the 11th or 12th, but they're lying to police and telling them that he left on the 14th? I still think there are a lot of questions surrounding a lot of this. And outside of lawyering up, because that's not what I'm referring to when I say this, Brian's family's choices, in my opinion, are just odd. I don't understand how they could just say, all right, see ya, and he leaves. Under the current circumstances, I think that it would be reasonable to think that he's probably going to go hurt himself. So as a parent, I just think it's interesting that they can just let him go and then not report anything to law enforcement for 3 days. There's been tons of quote unquote sightings of Brian. It's like Where's Waldo out there right now with Brian Laundrie. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. I do hope they find him alive and well so that some of these questions can be answered and Gabby can get some justice. Now for the second most talked about topic, Brian's mental state and the domestic violence incident of August 12th in Moab, Utah. We have very limited information on Brian prior to the trip at this point. We have one friend who knew Gabby in Florida and said that Brian was controlling, possessive, manipulative, and at some point began having these episodes where he was hearing voices. Of course, we have to take this on its own merits because we don't have any solid verification on that. It does match up with other things we've heard from some of her other friends, though. But let's look at some of the things that went on during the trip. Yesterday, we got to listen to less than a minute of the 911 call from their domestic dispute on August 12th in Moab, Utah. However, it was shocking for a lot of us because it was much different than the report that we read and what we saw on the body cam.
Were you able to get a description of the intoxication?
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with a white van, Florida license plate, white land, gentleman,
Where's
about
it at?
5'6", beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what do you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I can give you the license plate if you give me 1 sec. I took a picture of it.
What kind of white van? Like a big one?
It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side.
Black ladder, passenger side.
White Ford Transit.
White Ford Transit. Okay, what's your name? And where did they, so they turned, they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market?
Correct. They made the right turn.
Also, they went north.
North. Yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here.
Okay, so you're right there by the post office?
Right across the street, yep.
Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left?
Right.
Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks.
The witness report is also very interesting. The witness, Chris, states that Brian and Gabby started fighting and that Brian took her phone, got in the van, and tried to lock her out. He stated that Gabby was slapping his arm as she was trying to get in the van, and that it appeared to him that Brian was trying to take the phone and the van and leave her. He also stated that something seemed, quote, off. He wrote that he overheard Gabby say, "Why do you have to be so mean?" I thought that was interesting since we see in the body cam that she actually flips that statement around.
You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and
Okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, "I'm sorry that I'm so mean." Because
Another disturbing sign of how things were going was the comparison of their van from the beginning of the trip when we see it in videos to how it looks when they get pulled over by the police on August 12th. She mentions to the cop that she likes to keep it neat and that he was getting in after their hike with dirty feet and that was stressing her out. But then you look at the van, and in my opinion, that's another example of the minimization of what's really going on. These two clearly had two very different agendas and two different sets of priorities when they set off on this trip. I personally feel that this incident on August 12th was almost a foreshadowing of what happened when she was killed. It seems that as their trip goes on, he even starts making almost passive-aggressive digs at her through his Instagram posts. Just one example is during the body cam footage from August 12th, it's very, very hot outside that day. Gabby accepts 2 bottled waters from the police, and they offer it to Brian a couple times, and he declines it both times because he doesn't like plastic water bottles. He actually tells them in the body cam footage that he doesn't like them. The next day, on August 13th, that's the last post that he makes during their trip, and I do think that's significant. And what does he post about? He posts about biodegradable packaging. He goes on about the responsible things, that he eats and throws away, and then he specifically talks about plastic water bottles. Another example is you'll notice at the beginning of their relationship, she's wearing an Apple Watch in a lot of her pictures. She's got coffee places she likes to go to. She gets her nails done. You can see she has cute clothes. These are all specific things that he also rails against in his post. It just seems, I could give you 5 more examples like this. If you go back and look through all their posts on each of their accounts from the beginning of their relationship. It just seems that all of the things that Gabby likes, Brian seems to pass judgment about, and it seems to just progressively get worse throughout the trip. This brings me to the biggest irony that I noticed from the very day I started following this case. He's anti-Wi-Fi, he's big on not being a slave to social media, put your phone down, enjoy the moment, which are all great things, but it's ironic because the minute they set off, Gabby is starting up a website, a YouTube channel, and she's going to be vlogging their entire journey and everything that they're doing. So it's just from the start, all of the things that he's against is going to be the main goal of hers during their cross-country trip. It's almost like it's just set up for failure. I do believe that this caused a lot of friction between the two of them. And it's obvious from the beginning that he's clear on what she wants to do because he's in the videos with her and they seem very excited about it. So who knows, maybe as the trip went on, he got more and more controlling with it or resentful of it. We don't know, and I guess we're gonna just have to be patient and wait to hear more answers. But both Gabby's mother and father have confirmed that every time they talked to Gabby during the trip, things were getting progressively worse with her and Brian. Please let me know in comments what you think about the incident on August 12th with the new information that we have now. And I'd also love to know what you think about the state of their van in that picture compared to what it looked like earlier in the trip. Also, let me know down below if you think Brian is actually in the Carlton Reserve. We will keep you updated on this case. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified of our upcoming videos.